became president at SUNY Fredonia in July 2012. The time is a warp now, but it was a year ago, July. And before that, I was vice president for academic affairs at Fredonia. So I've lived in Chautauqua County since 2005. I grew up in Buffalo and was at Kent State University of Ohio for 27 years. So for me, it was a return to Western New York that I was eager to have. And I love being at Fredonia and being in this county. What I'd like to say to all of you is one of my initiatives as president is really to have Fredonia be a place that makes a difference in the community. I'm glad to hear the stories many of you shared with me about Fredonia interns. I'm glad to meet an alum. I said, send me your story, because I love to hear about a 2010 alum who's now gainfully employed in Jamestown, staying in the area and making a difference. It's what we hope for with Fredonia as a modern liberal arts university with a focus on developing the skills that people can use in so many ways.
What a great opportunity for me to come to a place that has already found its way into the hearts of so many people. I've had so many people come up to me since I've been here and share with me some kind of, heart-rending story about how Jamestown Community College made an incredible difference in their life, or helped their child to move on to things that were incredible, and they're doing just marvelous things now. That's a great place to land as a president. So my first goal is not to mess any of that up. I really have to tip my hat to Dr. DeSinkyu, who managed the institution well. I see a number of my vice presidents and deans here today. They're an incredible management team, and they need to be looking forward to being a part of this community as it always has been, and reaching out to individuals, helping them to meet their educational needs, reaching out to the business and industries here, making sure that the education programs that we're providing are the ones that are relevant for this area, hopefully working on those challenges we have with creating jobs in the area, so that those we educate can stay here and work in those jobs. So all of those kinds of things are what we're about. And we look forward to working with each one of you. It's a tremendous partnership with the community college. We are yours. I mean, we're you. And we open ourselves up to you. If you have comments, suggestions, ways that you think we can do a better job, if there's things that you think we're doing wonderful, tell us that sometimes too. We'd like to hear those stories. And just know that on my part, I'm just thrilled to be here and couldn't be more pleased to have been well received as we've come in.
I've spent the last 4 decades in Rochester, New York, working in public education and working in public service because I care very deeply about giving kids opportunities who don't often have opportunities. And I specifically sought a chance to come to a city that had children like the ones I was serving in Rochester. The children in Jamestown are entitled to the same great education that everybody else should be able to get. And right now, the Jamestown Public Schools have struggled to make sure they're meeting those needs. I'm here to try and make sure that we step up to the plate, that we learn the new material that's been put before us with the new Common Core curriculum and the challenge to make children college and career ready by the time they finish our institution. I want to be able to send them to JCC. I want to be able to send them to Fredonia. I want every child in our system to be a success. I believe really strongly that education in the 21st century is a team sport. And so part of what I will do in coming here as your new superintendent is to work on energizing the folks that work in the system. And like Cory, I've begun to recognize the incredible talent of the people who I have around me. And because I have such a great cabinet and such a great staff at the central office, I am out visibly in schools. I've been in every school every week since the school year started. And that gives me a chance to see what's happening. Because I want to encourage the people who are on the ground. My theory of action is very simple. Schools can be changed by empowering the people who work in them, by focusing their energy and providing the resources.
I have to confess, I am just excited about the opportunity that's been presented to me to become the CEO of the Gebbie Foundation. I was excited having worked with the foundation on a number of big projects over the years, and having been a lifelong resident of Chautauqua County, seeing the impact that the foundation has had, that many don't even realize that has occurred as most good foundations do their work. I'm particularly excited having met the staff that's there. wonderful people who are committed to their work, that are tremendously talented, I think can be involved even more deeply in the work that's in front of us. The board, I'm blessed, as John Reno described them, as being very bright, very engaged, and very invested in the work. And I've learned that to be true through the interview process, which was highly competitive and exciting all at the same time. And meeting with them and looking at what's on the plate for the Gebbie Foundation, the hard work that's there, the exciting work that can be done, the continuing better coordination of foundations that we're blessed to have in our region, working collectively to make big things happen. I'm excited about that. November 18th, my first day. I'm doing my best to hit the ground running there. I appreciate all the support that you provided over the last 8 years, the 18 years prior to that time practicing here, but the future.
Just to give you a brief background of where I came from, what I look to do with Jamestown Renaissance Corporation. I'm a Jamestown native, Chautauqua County, born and raised, lived in Jamestown all of my life. Fredonia alum, 1981. Jamestown Renaissance is actively involved in helping support the urban design plan. So we look at a number of projects in the downtown corridor and the riverfronts, but also we have branched out and are responsible for implementation and oversight of the City of Jamestown neighborhood revitalization. Truly blessed to have the professional staff that we have at Jamestown Renaissance Corporation and the involved board. We have a very, very skilled and involved board of directors that is leading us in our charge, not only in the economic development front, but also in revitalization of one of our most valuable resources.
I grew up here, graduated from Faulkner School, from Jamestown Community College in '98, and went on to umpire professional baseball for 6 years in the minor leagues. Had an opportunity to come back here and gain employment again at Jamestown Community College, where I spent the last 8.5 years in the athletics department as a teacher. And so when an opportunity came up this spring and this summer, I started in July to take on the executive director role with Chautauqua Striders. It was just a natural fit in the progression of my career and where it's gone. And tied in the athletics, tied in the education, and the piece that I really enjoyed. Also being a mentor to the young men and women who were involved in the athletics program at JCC. And being involved with Chautauqua Striders has given me that opportunity to do all of that combined into one with our mentoring and advocacy and athletics and academics. And it's just at a younger age group. And all these people that, we take the Jamestown Public School students and many outlying schools within the county, and we're trying to mold them just as the school systems are into the future students at JCC and at Fredonia. And so every little thing that we can do to help lead them toward that career progression of high school graduation and into the local colleges and then into the local workforce, where many of us will be able to employ them again in the future, if we can have an impact on their lives, is something that's really neat for me to be involved with, as well as our staff. And so I just want to say thanks.
Last week, or yesterday, excuse me, we were cleaning out. As you go through management transitions, you sometimes do a little house cleaning of cupboards and so forth. We found some of our historic annals. One book in particular was a book of newspaper clippings from the 70s. It showed the Art Metal sign coming down from that building, the Cummins sign going back up. It showed, there was newspaper clips about the expansion of Baker Street and the extension, the water line that went out there. It brought back a lot of insight into how the community reached out to help us establish roots. And I think that's a credit to our community. But if I fast forward today, it's interesting and encouraging to me to see how the community is rallying around all of industry. It takes a team effort. As a Cummins, we recognize that our plant in the long run is only going to be as successful as our community. You can think about that in people in terms of skills that they bring. You can think about that in the ability to retain and attract as well. So as I think about moving forward in this position, I really, on behalf of the Jamestown team, want to thank the community for their partnership. It's been great to have a number of you come forward and just acknowledge and thank us for the partnership.
I've been in the community for about 7 weeks now. This is my first time that I've US. So as you can imagine, it's quite a culture shock for me. But I have worked for Cummins for 12 years. I came from a Darlington plant. Now, when I left university in the UK, I think one of the things that drew me to work for Cummins was not just because they're a fantastic multinational organisation. It was the work that they did in the community. So I know this sounds strange coming from a finance person who's probably all about money, but we have a saying, it's more than numbers in Cummins. And the work that we do in the community, the charities that we support, is really something that's is the heart of my work ethic. One of the things that I really enjoy about working in the finance department is I like to develop people and bring people on. And what I see here is that it's a talented area, and I want to generate a talented finance group. So I really look forward to partnering with some of the schools in the area, because we have got talented people in this area, so we just need to bring them on and retain that talent in the area. And I'm a firm believer that we should be growing from within.
As I mentioned, I spent the last 9.5 years prosecuting war criminals and spending my time between Africa and The Hague in the Netherlands. And most recently, I was able to go back to the Netherlands just last week, back to The Hague, and rejoin my trial team as the appeals judgment came down in the case of Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor was the former president of Liberia. Charles Taylor was someone that I prosecuted. I and my trial team prosecuted him as well as other war criminals. And the significance of that, and where I'll lead into the Jackson Center, is the significance of that is that Charles Taylor is the first head of state to be convicted for war crimes, and now his appeal is final, and so he's going to prison for the rest of his life. That's a done deal. And we're very, very proud to have that happen. And that's the first head of state president to be convicted since Robert H. Jackson tried at Mundungus after World War II in the war crime trials in Nuremberg. Everybody in the world that I came from knows who Robert H. Jackson was and what he did in war crimes prosecutions. And so now we want to take the Jackson Center out there and we want to bring them back to Jamestown to show who Robert H. Jackson was, where he came from, and educate the youth in the world today. And so I'm looking forward to relationships with everybody who has been down here